Philadelphia, the other NHL teams scheduled to play the Soviets in the series, which will end a week from Thursday at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, and about to begin right here at the Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, Alberta. Igor Larionov skates to center ice against the great Gretzky. And it's underway. Gretzky winning the draw. Into the Soviet zone. Puck is left there by Hunter. And now Coffey back in the Edmonton zone. Across to Coffey again. Passing to an open wing. Gretzky digs against Fetisov for it. Mishkin has to steer it aside. Gretzky almost came up with the puck. And then Alexei Kasatonov for the Soviets works it up to center ice. That's how they break so quickly. 2-on-1 now. Closing in. Here's Maltsev, and a glove save by Andy Moog.
Maltsev's fast shot. Andy Moog is tested early in the hockey game. A 2-on-1 break. The Edmonton Oilers caught up the ice. As we look at the shot, number 10 as he rips it away to the left side.
Maltsev did not have the best angle. He was squeezed off to the right, didn't have much net to shoot at, but nonetheless a dangerous break for a veteran like Maltsev, who at 33 is the senior member of this Soviet national team. Soviets change. Shepelev now on the face-off. The Oilers change. It'll be Messier moving in for this one, and he wins the draw. Traditionally, the Soviets, if they have a weakness, it is on face-offs, although they have improved in recent years. Don Jackson in the corner, the Edmonton defense player trying to work it free up to Messier. The Soviets detaining it in there now. The shot is high, gloved by Moog anyway. He fans on it in behind. Here is Shepelev trying to center it out. He cannot make a play. Jackson works it up the boards, but the Soviets, with good, persistent forechecking, keep that puck in play in the Edmonton zone. It is shot down the ice, will not go for icing, as Vasily Pervukin has it for the Soviet Union. Ahead to Kapustin, one of the Soviet veterans, number 8. Right side, the relay coming back. 3 passes on the play and a weak deflected shot rolling past Moog. Here is Messier for the Oilers. Into Soviet territory, the pass, the shot deflected into the crowd off the stick of Vladimir Mishkin, who will tell you again is playing for the ailing Vladislav Tretiak. And this is the NHL Soviet. From the face-off, it comes back over the Soviet blue line. This is Kevin Lowe, the veteran Oiler defenseman, playing it on the right side at the line. Inside they go. From a sharp angle, Lindsman could not get a good shot away, and the Russians bring it back out to center ice. Lowe again, pops it right back to Lindsman. 2 Soviet players on him. Now Gary LaRiviere playing for the ailing Lee Fogelin. Shoots it into the corner. Good body check in behind the Soviet net on Gamayev. The Russian to the Edmonton line. The shot is blocked by LaRiviere. Then poked back to the blue line, brought in offside by number 27, Bykov.
Joey Watson, you see any patterns?
Yeah, I noticed that the Russian defense, they pinch very deeply, and I think that going back to 1976 when we played them, they weren't pinching that well than I remember, but they certainly are now. There's Glenn Slater, the Oilers coach.
You saw that hit that Lindsman threw in the Soviet player Gamayev. Oilers right on top of that puck, dribbling it down near Michigan's doorstep. But Fetisov, perhaps the best Soviet defenseman, clears it very nimbly. In they come on Moog, a weak shot he handles easily. Back for Fetisov, who sails in from the point, then lost control, and it's poked back to center by Pozar of Edmonton. The Soviets just keep on coming. Squeezed off on the boards with Skvortsov. Around to the far side it comes, now in behind. Oiler player missed the check in there as Fetisov, the defense player, is right behind the Edmonton goal. They jam for it now, trying to force the face-off. NHL players, of course, feel they can win those face-offs against the Soviets. They don't mind giving them up in their own zone. Pass too far at center ice for Pozar. Pozar gets a chance now in the left corner. Skates in there against Fetisov as they bump for it. Pozar gets a stick on it, but coming up with it for the Soviets is Zlutkov. And Zlutkov out at center ice sends Skvortsov away. 1-on-2, he drops it back. Still no shot. Very tight defensive coverage by the Oilers. And on that occasion, it was shot out by Dave Lumley. One more time, the Soviets inside the Edmonton line. No great shots on goal either way so far. They do jam that one and tie it up for a faceoff. The NHL, Soviets, no score. About 3.5 minutes gone here in the first period. The Soviets' top line, centered by Igor Larionov on the ice now. Lindsman wins the draw easily. And saw him dig it back into his own corner. Now the Oilers break fast to center ice. The pass hopped over Lindsman's stick. Little left it off the Soviet Union. He can't clear it out. Pass across to Dave Hunter. Back to the right point. Still inside the Soviet zone. Lindsman feeds it there. The shot, a good save by Mishkin. The backup Soviet goalie. The best chance for the Oilers so far today. Rudolph skates hard into the board. Dumped in there by number 29, Don Jackson, and there's no further play. In fact, there's going to be the first penalty of the game, called by referee Andy Van Helleman.
Krutov going into the corner, Don, as we watch him through the center ice area. There's Jackson playing him fine there, but he went too far to his left. Jackson from behind pulls the feet out from underneath him into the boards heavily. Number 9, Krutov. Jackson, a tripping penalty, give the Soviet Union the first power play of the hockey game.
Penalty at the 4:06 mark of this first period. It's a scoreless game at the Northlands Coliseum. And the awesome Soviet power play goes into effect for the first time. Messier on the faceoff for Edmonton. Larionov got the draw, rolls to the corner, but promptly for the Oilers, here comes Mark Messier out to center ice. Left side for Lindsman. Lindsman closing in, drops it back for Messier, shoots and it's wide of the goal. A good chance, short-handed there for Edmonton. Here come the Soviets. Larionov across to the veteran Maltsev. Maltsev can't get around Kevin Lowe. He shoots it out to the left boards, but held it to the point for the Soviets. Krutov, number 9, from Maltsev. Back from Maltsev. The Soviets take all kinds of time. Wait for the perfect play. Maltsev skates to the face-off circle. Back on that point once again. The slap shot blocked by Mold. From the stick of Kazatanov. Cleared near the blue line. And finally out to center ice off one of the linesmen by the Edmonton Oilers. Still have a minute to go in the Oilers penalty to Jackson to triple. It is shot down behind the Soviet goal as the Oilers change on the move. Kazatanov for Larionov. Again, this play forming slowly. The Soviets would prefer to take it back unless they have the ideal situation. Give up ice rather than have an improper play start for them. Now they have it going their way they feel. At the blue line. Skating inside. Digging it back on the point to the right side now. Here is the slap shot. Deflection missed by number 8, Kapustin. Still inside that zone for Vasiliev. Now back to Gamayev. Gamayev's deflected shot lazily drifts over top of the Edmonton goal. And Paul Coffey fails to clear. Sergei Kapustin back on the left point. Here's Fedosov's weak pass going nowhere. It's dug back for Gamayev. Fedosov again. Into the slot. The shot bounds up into the crowd. With just 4 seconds to go in the Oilers penalty.
Good penalty killing by the Edmonton Oilers. Jackson about ready to come out of the penalty box. 4 seconds remain in his tripping penalty.
I can see Fedosov is certainly the quarterback of their power play. Everything seems to revolve around him back at the point. He makes a lot of good plays.
And the point I made, too, I think is worth noting again. They will back up if they have to get that play. They'll go all the way behind their own net and take all the time in the world.
Right. I think they try to work a 3-and-2, you know. That's what they try to do.
They want the edge on you, right? No score. 4 seconds, Ed Westfall told you, left in Jackson's penalty. The Oilers have all but killed it. Soviets still have the puck at the blue line. Finally, it hops out. Oilers back at full strength now. Anderson hops on as Jackson skates right to the Edmonton bench. Soviets being backed up once again. Now they come forward haltingly at the Edmonton blue line. LaRiviere has the pass picked up by his stick over to Lowe. The relay around the boards. Messier feeds it back for Kevin Lowe. To Messier with Lindsman and Anderson. Inside they go. Anderson shoots wide. Vasiliev for the Soviets. Dumps it out in front dangerously. It is shot just beside the face-off circle. Finally cleared back by the Soviets into center ice. Gretzky steps back on the ice. Circling there, flips it down the left boards for Anderson to chase in against Gamayev. Semenko could not get his pass away as he fell. And now at center ice, it is the Soviet Union's Vasilyev coming in. Works the right corner, swings around the net. Finally dumps it back to the point. The slap shot is a mile wide from Vilya Titov. In behind the goal, number 21 is Randy Gregg. Soviets, good containment there, keeping it inside, rolling it in front. Gregg now gets a chance to clear, and they do. Right side for Gretzky at center. Semenko. Mishkin gets his stick on it, pokes it away from him to Gretzky. And Gretzky's pass is too far. Here's a breakdown. Breakaway for the Soviets. In they go. Number 29 got in cleanly. Kochevenikov. Right on top of Andy Moe. Gretzky's shot is just wide off that left post. Kept in by Yari Curry. A great chance there, not enough wood on that shot by Curry. Vilya Letonov for the Soviet Union. His pass too far ahead at center. Pozar now for Edmonton, the Czechoslovakian player. Has to leave it there. Oilers gaining momentum as the game goes on. A hard ride stopped by Mishkin from the stick of Randy Gregg, the defenseman. Down goes the Soviet player under Pozar in the corner, and that also drifts just wide. They approach the 9-minute mark. It is scoreless first period here. And it's whistled down on the outside. Pascal and Lou Nanny back with you at the Northlands Coliseum. Game 1 of the NHL Soviet series is scoreless here into period number 1. Approaching the midway mark. Paul Coffey for the Oilers. Could not make his play. It is shot off an Oiler player, Coffey, all the way down the ice. But they are going to call icing nonetheless as Charlie Huddy's back to pick it up.
The best scoring opportunity of the hockey game so far. The Russians on a breakaway. Good try. What a save. Let's take a look. Edmonton caught napping. They're in pursuit. Kochevenikov all alone on Andy Moog, and Moog robs them. Good opportunity, good stop, and Edmonton has had quite a lift off the save by their goaltender.
Indeed they have. Kazatanov for the Soviet Union gave the puck away. Here's a shot wide and high by Dave Hunter. Great scoring chance there for the Oilers. Deflection in front. Linsman can't poke it in. Fetisov now, the anchor of that defense, gets it across to Kazatanov. Still inside the Russian zone. Finally, it clears to center ice for them. But the Soviets under extreme pressure there. Bumping on the boards. They'll tie it up for a face-off at the Soviet bench with 10:36 to play in period number 1.
Good opportunity for the Edmonton Oilers after Moog had made a good stop off Kochevenikov. Look at the penalty. Wow. Hunter with a high stick on number 11, Larinov. No call.
Play underway again with Kevin Lowe shooting it in. Digs after it inside the Soviet zone. In behind the net. It's dumped right out in front. Hops over 2 Oiler sticks. Now the Soviets get a 2-on-1 break. Here is Shalimov shooting. Blocked smartly by the defenseman, Riviere, sliding to block the drive. Gamayev grips it in. That is blocked by number 20, Lumley. So a lot of sliding defensive Oiler players making some big plays right there on that series. And icing is called against the Oilers. 10 minutes and 6 seconds to go in the first period. And here's the story on Pozar. Of course, to check us on the face-off for the Soviet Union. Now they'll bring on Messier for Edmonton. Abscheid waved out of there. The Oilers coming on toward the middle part of this period, which now has reached the halfway point. It is scoreless. The Soviets nothing, the Edmonton Oilers nothing. Mark Messier, left wing, dumps it all the way across to the right side. Anderson lets it go there for Abscheid. Then Anderson tries to pick it up in the corner, battling there against the Soviets' Babidov. Finally around behind the goal, a chance to put it in front. They miss. Jackson trying to contain on the point, flips it over the boards for a face-off.
Couple of good opportunities by the Soviets. Joey Watson on the. Take a look now at some of the action. Good block by
Gary Leverrier
Lum.
certainly made a fine play there in that 2-1 by the Soviets there. He gave him the area and then he took it away from him, and he certainly played it very well.
You saw Shepelev holding the Edmonton player's stick on that exchange. Right in front. Here's the shot. The goal number 1, and the Oilers take the lead. Anderson getting his stick on it out in front and just getting it across the goal line behind Michigan.
right from the face-off. Glenn Anderson halfway through the first period. Since Andy Vogue had stopped the breakaway by Kochenikov, Edmonton has been coming on strong. Let's look at the goal being set up. Pass out in front by Messier, and Anderson finishes it off, and it's in behind Michigan, 1-0, Edmonton.
And number 21, Randy Gray.
Messier and Randy Gray get the assist, and here comes Messier again inside the Russian zone, but Fetisov is there to break that up. He sends Lutkov inside the Edmonton blue line. Chance to the right side, right in front. The pass from Swartzoff. There's nobody home. Now Gregg bumping in the corner. Hapside can't get it. Rolls in front of the goal again, and on the left side it is Messier. Messier sending Gregg away. The relay on the right side to Anderson inside the Soviet line. Messier just not there quite in time. That relay in front of the Soviet goal. 8 minutes and 50 seconds to play in the first period. The long shot, Moe kicks 10 rows high here at the Northlands Coliseum. Face-off coming up. 8 minutes and 44 seconds to go in period 1. The NHL the face-off in the Edmonton zone. The Oilers on Glenn Anderson's goal at 10:28 have taken a 1-goal lead over the Soviets. Larionov on the draw against Ken Linsman. It is left in the circle for the Soviets. The weak pass picked up by Paul Coffey, who shoots it promptly out to center ice. The relay down right on Michigan, who gloves it, skates back into his crease to force a stoppage in play.
So many times you wonder whether a good save really makes that much difference. Michigan has been fairly sharp for the Soviets.
Well, he was pressed in late because of the blue bug picked up by Tretiak, the man you'd normally see in position.
I'd have to wonder a little about that, Don. I saw him this morning. I saw him again in the warm-ups, and he, as I mentioned before, he didn't seem to be bothered. Didn't seem to not take anything. Took his regular shift.
Pat Hughes couldn't keep it in. Coffey has trouble in center ice. The Soviets, Maltsev finally backhands it down and then takes a belt on the boards from Hughes. Rolling dangerously in front, but Linsman's there for the Oilers. Somenko across to Coffey. Coffey inside the line. Coffey shoots. Michigan steers that aside. Alexander Maltsev. Long lead pass trying to give Krutov the break at center ice. Instead, a wicked slap shot from number 22 of the Oilers, Charlie Huddy. Too far for Maltsev. Curry clears it back. Now Coffey has it. And the Oilers, Soviet style, go behind their net to make some player changes and gather up some momentum. Gretzky on the ice. Feeds it in the slot. No chance on a play there for Jari Kurri. Kevin Lowe with Riviere back on defense. It is shot to the line for Gretzky, 2-on-1. Gretzky's pass, and just wide of the goal went Dave Somenko. Went a bit too far. But a pretty play set up by Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky overskates it this time. Babinov beating it up the boards for the Soviets. 7:15 to play in the first period. 1-0 Edmonton. Larionov. Here's a chance. Moe stops one, blocks the rebound, and it's finally a whistle down play as Riviere falls on it right in front of the Oiler goal.
Larionov, Igor Larionov, Central Army, started the play through center ice. Forces the Edmonton defense back in. Look at the passing here by the Soviets. Over to number 9, Krutov. There's the shot by number 23, Shalamov. Fine passing by the Soviets.
2 fine saves by Moog on that series. Now for the Oilers. It is Curry chasing it down to the right Soviet corner. Somenko overskates him there, and the red shirts of the Soviet Union have it again. Here is Shalimov getting it across to Kapustin. He could not drop it back on the point. Intercepted there by Somenko and chopped up to center ice for Edmonton. Viktor Shalimov for Kapustin again at center. The Russians shooting it in far more than we've seen previously. Gretzky. Leaves it there for Hunter. Back to Yari Curry. And finally, Jackson now, as the Oilers appear disorganized, inside his zone. Kozar's on the ice for Edmonton. 6:10 left in this first period. 1-0 Oilers. A play in behind the Soviet net. A bouncing puck there. They all jam away at it. Comes free in the corner for Kozar. For Gretzky in behind. The great playmaker Gretzky gets it back on the point. The wrist shot is blocked and screened by Mishkin. Here's Jackson. Jackson to an open corner. Dug in behind the goal once again for Gretzky as they poke away at it in there. The Soviets trying to freeze the puck. Finally, it is Vasilyev with it, getting it out over his own blue line. Yaroslav Kozar, the Czech player in his first season with Edmonton, gets it ahead of center ice. Good body check by Lumley on Fedosov, and it's whistled down across the Edmonton blue line on the offside. Alexei Kazatanov plays for the Red Army, just 23. 25 national team games for the Soviet Union squad.
One of the bigger players at 6 foot. Not that many 6-foot players on the Soviet team. We've seen larger or taller and heavier Soviet teams.
But not necessarily faster, because speed has become their trademark, although not in abundant evidence tonight. The Oilers certainly skating with them and skating well. Here's Kozar getting it ahead across the blue line. Number 14, Laurie Boschman, the former Toronto Maple Leaf, on the ice for the first time, could not control it. He's against Fedosov now. Calmly, Fedosov digs it across the left side. Inside the line they go. There's a shot wide of the net by Skvortsov. Back it comes down to the Soviet zone. Icing waved off on the play. 4 minutes and 48 seconds to go in period 1. Edmonton, on Anderson's goal at the midway mark, leads it 1-0. Soviets again caught on the offside over the Edmonton blue line. And this is the NHL.
The score. Oilers won on a goal by Anderson.
4:40 remaining in the first period. Babinov back for Gamayev. Now Babinov again as the Soviets back up in their own zone. Number 12, Gamayev. They work it out to center ice. This is Larionov. He's always dangerous. Checked by 2 Oilers there. They still keep it in. Now finally a break for Edmonton. Here is Pat Hughes to Hunter, but offside was Lindsman on the right wing. It's whistled down with 4:13 to go in the period. Ken Lindsman, his 5th season in the National Hockey League.
Joey, what can you tell us?
Joey in Philadelphia.
I'll tell you, Kenny's a fine player, and he certainly is going to be a big asset to the Edmonton Oilers. I think throughout the season and also in this game tonight. He's got a lot of speed, which you have to have against the Russians, and he's an instigator. He's going to cause you a lot of problems, and he has in the first period. He's caused the Russians numerous problems.
Joe Watson and Ed Westfall with me here in the booth. You'll be hearing from Lou Nanne, our analyst between periods, with Bernie Pascal, as this first period is drawing to a close. Just over 4 minutes to go, and the Oilers on top by a single goal. That's scored by Anderson at 10:28. But the Soviets being pinned in more now and contained to their half of center ice more consistently this half of the period by the Edmonton Oilers. Paul Coffey, the defenseman, has it, number 7. Wilds it down to the right corner. Comes around to the opposite side as they bump along the boards for possession. Messier coming up with it, and it's stolen away by Gamayev. Lowe keeps it in. His shot blocked off the leg of an Edmonton player. The Soviets love that fast break at center, but the Oiler defensemen were both well back in time. Another chance for the Soviets now. Larionov in behind the net. Passed in front by Krutov. Nobody there. So the Soviets getting their break, but only sending 1 man forward, not 2 or 3 as we've seen in previous years. Anderson makes the check on the board. Here's Habshot in for Messier. Loose puck still in front of the goal. Mishkin can't find it. It's finally shot to the point for the Riviere. His drive blocked by Mishkin. 2 great chances there. Delayed Soviet penalty in effect. And finally called by referee Andy Van Hellemond.
A holding penalty to the Soviet Union gives Edmonton their first power play of the hockey game. Exactly 17 minutes gone here in the first period. To the penalty box. Pervukin, Red Army defenseman, 29 years old, draws the first penalty from Andy Van Hellemond. The first penalty to the Soviet Union. Let's take a look at the holding penalty. As we try to pick it up, Messier, number 11, heads for the front of the net. Good play by Messier on a backhand. Right here, the holding penalty. As you see them reach out, number 5 hangs on to Messier. Andy Van Hellemond with his arm in the air, signaling the penalty.
Vasily Pervukin for holding at 17 minutes. So for 2 of the 3, barring further infractions or a goal, the Oilers will have some heat conceivably going on the Soviet Union here. Previously, the one Edmonton penalty did not result in many dangerous chances for the Soviets, who trail 1-0 in the hockey game. Gretzky is on the point for the power play. Digs it off in the right circle, relay in front. Gretzky shoots, hits the goal post, far side. Great scoring chance for number 99 there. Here's Huddy, Anderson, his relay, blocked by Fedosov, but Coffey's there to contain it. Anderson for Messier, loose puck picked up by the Soviets. Fedosov calmly gets it ahead and down the ice. A minute 25 left. It's Pervukin's penalty as the Oilers form up once again with Wayne Gretzky across to Coffey. Coffey shoots it in, Gretzky after it, Michigan way out. Falls on it once, covers it up finally. A good 7-8 feet out of his crease.
Vladimir Mishkin out. He wants to hold the puck. He's afraid to do it. Andy Van Hellemond, you see here now, telling him, can't do that. You've got to release the puck.
I think he knew it too, and he took his hand off it and then put it back on.
He was waiting for one of the Edmonton Oilers to get close.
Great chance by Gretzky earlier.
Anderson fights in front of the net. Gretzky comes in. Watch the lower right-hand side, the goalpost. Gretzky unleashes the shot right off the goalpost. Clearly, he had Vladimir Mishkin, the goaltender for the Soviets, beaten.
So the Oiler lead is still 1 with a minute 16 left in Pervukin's penalty for holding. Kasaitonov fires it all the way down. Moog stops it beside his goal for Gretzky. A minute left in the penalty and 2 minutes remain in this first period. Here's Gretzky in for Huddy. Huddy left side, dumps it in front. Loose puck in there, they jam away. Michigan down on his knees to block it.
Well, there we have Kenny Linsman in there. By gosh, you're always going to find Kenny around a big pileup, and he went for the net very well there, and a pass from, I believe it was, here we are at the replay here by Huddy. Charlie Huddy made a fine pass over, and Kenny Linsman, as you see, is right in front of the net.
Got the backhand shot away. Forced Mishkin to make the save again. Edmonton has been coming on strong as the game gets older.
Indeed they have at Westfall, as now Linsman on the draw wins it. This is Coffey over on the far side, digs it back for Gretzky on the point. Gretzky waiting across to Huddy. Huddy down beside the net. Right back to Gretzky, trying to set him up too far back. Gretzky has to make a desperate play to keep it in. Rolling it in behind the net for Babinov. Coffey cannot contain it. Comes all the way back. A foot race now. Coffey getting there to tie off the Soviet player coming on to the puck. He brings it back to Edmonton. 25 seconds and the Soviet penalty remain. Nice stick handling by Coffey, who fed it back, but it was blocked for the Soviets and shot all the way back down the ice. 15 seconds now on the Soviet penalty. Just over a minute of playing time in the period. Here's Kevin Lowe getting an opening left side, booms it off the glass in behind. Yari Curry down for Laurie Boschman. Oilers changing on this long power play. Penalty is now over. A chance to side of the goal, and Michigan is there as the Oiler player just banned on it.
Wayne Gretzky, what an opportunity. Opportunities he usually does not miss. Standing all alone to the left of Vladimir Mishkin, goaltender of the Soviet Union. As we take a look at the play, Boschman across. Look at that good opportunity missed by number 99, Wayne Gretzky.
If you notice in the power play, Edmonton's really spreading the play out and making the Soviets skate a lot, and I think that's going to be beneficial to them.
I think, too, they are maybe hurrying their play a little more than the Soviets did when they had the one power play advantage. Then, of course, that is more the Oilers' style.
Right.
Ozar is moving into the faceoff.
I was going to say, Don, a young team generally a little anxious in a game such as this.
You bet. Ozar with it in the corner, being checked there, knocked down by a high stick by Shalimov, and finally out over the blue line. Right on it, they wave. No offside on the play. Just 40 seconds to go here in this first period. The Oilers and Anderson's goal leading 1-0. And the Oilers looking very, very strong in the second half of this first period against the national team of the Soviet Union. One more attempt for the Soviets now with 20 seconds to go as they work it down across the blue line right side. Sergei Kapustin circles the net. Works it over on the left boards, being watched there. Does not make a good play. Bozar gets it out at center ice. Now Jackson across the blue line, leaves it there. The shot blocked by Michigan from the point by Pozar, and that is going to do it for the first period of the first of 6 games between the National Hockey League and the Soviet Union. Glenn Anderson at 10:28 with the only goal set up by Messier and Grit.
And if the shots do get through, there's always somebody in front to try to tip it in or whatever.
I would suggest, Joe, that, excuse me, that when the Soviets get around to playing Philadelphia, it couldn't be at a better time for the Flyers because your team's playing very, very well right now.
Well, we certainly are. I think that we're just starting to hit our peak of the year. We've more or less, I think we're a little lacking maturity here and there, but we're certainly come on in the last 4 or 5 games, and I hope that's a good indication of what is to come for the rest of the year for our team.
That'll be on the 6th of January. Of course, they play in Minnesota on the 4th. So, Ed, the Oilers, no question in your mind, had a big edge in the latter half of that period. What do you expect they'll do starting the second period?
If I was the Edmonton Oilers, I wouldn't do anything different. I'd try and take the play as they did in the latter stages of the first period and put the pressure right back on the Soviet Union. Now we get a good look at the bench. Down at the very end, coach Viktor Tikhonov. He directs his team. Obviously, the Russians are going to have to change a little of their game plan. I think you're going to see the forwards back in a little deeper. Blue Nanny pointing out that the forwards were stagnant. They were standing still, too high up on the boards, looking for a breakaway. It doesn't come that often.
Larionov wins the draw for the Soviets to begin the second period. Alexei Kasatonov at his own blue line, having difficulties. The puck rolls in there. Now it is set ahead for Vladimir Krutov. He was checked as the Oilers missed their opportunities as well. Kasatonov shoots it down. The puck deflected to the doorstep of Andy Moog. Very steady. Made some outstanding saves. Not as many as Michigan had to handle, however, in the first period for the Soviets. For the Soviets, here is Krutov coming in. He was headed off nicely on that side as he tried to make his play. Oilers trying to break as quickly as the Soviets have done. Get it to the blue line, but no further as the USSR dumps it back into the Edmonton zone. Here is Maltsev in behind the goal, being bumped right in front. Did not get a good shot, had just one hand on the stick. Play a little disorganized here in the early seconds of period number 2. Now Maltsev for the Soviets bumped on the boards. Tries to leave it for Krutov. In behind the Edmonton goal, it's sent out to Gretzky. He missed a couple of glorious scoring chances back in that first period, one by the side of the net. Shalimov for the Soviets, across over Kapustin's stick, back for Fetisov. He was stick checked. Gretzky pokes it all the way back to center ice. Sergei Kapustin closing in, right side, swings it in front, and down went number 21 Shepelev, getting only 1/10 of the puck on his stick. Comes across to the Soviet zone again. Semenko lost the race for it there. Shalimov passed it across, and is shot in by Kasatonov offside for a face-off, which they'll bring back to the center ice area.
Shalimov, you see, age 31. Had a couple of good. He had one particularly good opportunity in the first period that Andy Moog robbed him of. Went in on the right-hand side, got the shot away, and Moog stopped him, as he has all of the Soviet shots to this point.
Shalimov, it is 52nd international game tonight here in Edmonton. Oilers leading at 1-0. Anderson's first period goal of the midway mark, 10:28. But it may well have easily been 2 or 3. Here is Gretzky now in his own zone, dropping it back as they try to organize. Good forechecking by the Russians. Vasiliev on top of the play. Gretzky contained at the Soviet line. The Russians clear it back inside the Edmonton blue line. Again, disorganized early second period play. Charlie Huddy got it across. Curry chasing it down into the corner against Perbukin. Now Vasiliev on the left boards for the Soviets. Starts out slowly. Over to Bykov. He was checked inside the line. Semenko sent flying, but cleared the puck down the ice. Number 29, Kochevenikov, who missed on the breakaway against Moog earlier in that period. Delayed call now against the Edmonton Oilers. Soviets pull their goalie, Mishkin, sent a sixth man on the ice, and finally the penalty call is made.
Center ice area. First penalty of the second period. Right here, you see the elbow come up. Andy Van Hellemond standing right behind him, could not miss the attempted elbow anyway of Dave Semenko. Second power play now by the Soviet Union.
And the face-off won by Igor Larionov into the corner. Left there, Soviets pick it up. Quick shot wide of the goal by number 9, Vladimir Krutov. An errant pass hops all the way back to center ice. Now this is Vyacheslav Fedosov. The veteran defenseman almost giving it away there. The covering was Krutov coming across the line. His drop pass picked up by number 16, Pat Hughes for the Oilers, and he clears it back the length of the ice. No scoring in this period so far. Anderson's goal, the only tally of the night. In the first period, 1-0. Oilers lead the Soviet Union. Here's Dave Hunter. And they whistle that down at the Soviet blue line. And Randy Gregg, who got those 4 shots, pretty good for a defenseman. There's a story on him in his first season here in the National Hockey League.
Played 4 years for the University of Alberta, the Golden Bears. His long reach, a big asset to the way he plays. Very difficult to get around. Been the best defenseman so far for the Edmonton Oilers.
I definitely agree with you there. He certainly made a fine play there on one-on-one against the Soviets.
Shepelev sends it ahead off the faceoff and then carries on with it inside the Edmonton blue line. Backhands it beside Moog, left behind the goal. Still in behind the Edmonton goal, and Charlie Huddy succeeds in getting it down the ice this time. But the Soviets certainly having no field day against the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Now they get a good break. Coming across the line is Shalimov. The pass, the shot blocked by Moog. The drive from Sergei Shepelev, number 21.
It's only the second shot the Soviet Union have had here in the second period. So far, Edmonton hasn't had one. Let's take a look at the shot as he turns, finds himself right in front of the net. Number 21, Sergei Shepelev, plays with the Spartak team.
The Labatt's Player of the Game Awards will go to the outstanding player on each team as selected by our television broadcast team, and they'll each receive a Panasonic Wave mini stereo cassette player. There is Sergei Kapustin getting it back for Babinov. Babinov's shot is blocked at the side. Kapustin again, number 8 with it. You see the Soviets with their power play take a lot more time. Oilers looked a bit over anxious with theirs back in the first period. Into the slot, and the relay hit into the crowd by Babinov, who will face it off outside the Oiler blue line.
Something about the power play of the Soviet Union. They do not move physically. They move the puck well, but they do not skate. For penalty killers in a situation like that, Don, it's much easier for the penalty killers to work against the power play when the power play is standing still, just moving the puck.
I would think so. Soviets show their real speed when at full strength. They try to engineer those center ice breaks, sending 2-on-1 if they can get it. They have had little success tonight except for one breakaway attempt that Moog was equal to. That was a 1-on-1. Kapustin leaves it for Babinov in front of the Soviet goal. And now he sends Shepelov across the Edmonton blue line as he digs it down in behind. Bumping for it there. Huddy going down on top of the puck. The Soviets coming up with it. Back on the point for Babinov. His shot a mile wide. And Semenko deflects it ahead for Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky waiting for help. Relays it across to Curry. but it pops back to center ice. Kapustin jammed off into the corner by a falling defender, Charlie Hitty, and then Gretzky came in and shot it down the ice. So the Oilers withstood that shortage of manpower quite nicely, still have their 1-0 lead. And now here's a chance, breaking in, wide at the goal. A great chance for the Oilers for their 1-0 lead. That was Mark Messier just missing it. Another chance, they come in once again. A shot, blocked, rebound for number 9, Anderson. Messier with 2 scoring attempts. Gretzky has it in there. He's taken down. The Soviet player drops the stick. No penalty is called on the play. Babinov for Vasiliev. Passes to an open left side. In front, here's the shot. Anderson, oh, Michigan stuck his leg out. Anderson couldn't complete the play. Almost a second goal for Glenn Anderson right there. Soviets looking a little harried at times, and the Oilers take the pressure to them. Oilers a bit unlucky in not finishing those plays into goal. Offside, Messier carrying it in on the right side, so with 13:18 to play.
Wayne Gretzky takes a little bit of a dive. Andy Van Hellemond did not go for it, did not call any penalty.
Give him 3.1 for that dive, maybe?
That's about all.
Degree of difficulty, not too hard. About 7 minutes gone here in this second period. 1-0 Oilers. And they certainly have looked impressive against the Soviet Union. As we said before, the Oilers on the play deserve a much larger lead than they have. Here is Lumley, but it's called on the outside.
It could come back to haunt them, Joe Watson. The good opportunities that the Edmonton Oilers are giving up at this time in the hockey game.
Well, especially there we have Dave Lumley there from Toronto, Ontario, as a right winger, and he's a very physical player, and he's played well for the Edmonton team the last few years, given the opportunity to play.
He was Montreal's 17th pick back in 1974. Played at the University of New Hampshire.
Larionov again wins the draw. An impressive Soviet centerman he is to Maltsev, the veteran. Maltsev cuts right in front of the goal, left it there. Oilers' Lindsman picks it up, and they bring it out of harm's way. Here is Lindsman across the Soviet blue line, drifting it in, but it's shot quickly out again by the USSR. They jam it there for a face-off near the Edmonton bench. Mitten, the linesman, caught in the middle of all that. This is the Soviet NHL Series 83. Larionov wins another face-off from Lindsman. Has it back to Fedosov, number 2 for the Soviets. They regroup again with Maltsev, playing it over on the right side. Now back this way for number 7, the Soviets, Kazatonov, and that shot in offside of the Edmonton blue line. 12:14 to play in the period. 1-0 for Edmonton.
Kenny Lindsman stirs things up, holds off number 11 of the Soviet Union, Igor Larionov. Gives him a little extra something to think about. Only 4 shots so far here in the second period. 12:14 remaining.
Another matchup. They've been going at it all night, and now they do make a change as Larionov is chased out of there by the linesman. And Vladimir Krutov takes over and shoots it down inside the Edmonton blue line. Kevin Lowe cross to Hughes. Now back to Lowe again. Not out. Intercepted there. Soviets getting a chance. Oilers scrambling to cover, and they do get it back to center. Fedosov has to recover in there. Almost a break for the Oilers, with number 12, Dave Hunter, cruising in. Huddy from center shoots it high and hard, and Michigan gloves it easily. A lot of long passes up and down the ice. Here is Huddy now playing it ahead. No Oiler in position. For the Soviets, Maltsev takes over. With Krutov back to Fedosov. He shoots wide. Gretzky digs it out. Oilers bring it back. They're 3-on-2 now as they hit the Soviet blue line. Here is Fomenko giving it up to Larionov, and the